Hello my loves, welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial we're going to be using this George fabric to make a dress with FAUX wrapper. Now it's just going to look like the person is wearing a madame blouse and two-piece wrapper. Do you get? But it's going to be a dress that just has a wrapper, a FAUX wrapper. So the FAUX wrapper, FAUX, is just like a camouflage, but it's a dress. Now this is the net part for the upper part of the dress. That's for the blouse side. Then we're going to use the other George part for the skirt part and also for the wrapper or the FAUX wrapper. Right, so this George for the upper part is not so much beaded, but we're going to, make do with what we have. So I folded my satin into two. On this channel, I have sewing tutorials on how to make a bustier, an off-shoulder bustier. So this is an off-shoulder bustier. I'm trying to make an off-shoulder bustier for the upper part. So for my off-shoulder, I'm doing a minus 4.5 for the off-shoulder. Then from there, I'll mark my bust point, my under bust, and my half length. Okay, so an off shoulder, you take out about 4.5 to 5 inches or 6 inches depending on how low you want the off shoulder to be. Okay, I have series of off shoulder bustier tutorials and I'll be dropping the link to all of them in the description box, okay, so that you can go ahead and watch them from start to finish to properly understand how to make a bustier if you do not know. But if you already know how to make a bustier, this will just refresh your memory on bustier making. So I have marked out 4.5 for my off shoulder, then I've marked out my bust point, my under bust length, and my half length. Now I'm going to start taking my body measurement. So on the bust point line, I'm going to take my bust measurement divided by 4. Then whatever value I get, I'm going to mark it there and add 2 inches for my side seam allowance. On the half length, I'm going to take my waist measurement, divide that by 4. Now whatever value I get, I'm going to mark that on the waistline, then add my 2 inches side seam allowance. Okay, so you can multiply, divide that with your tape or just make use of a calculator. So the waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches. I'm going to connect this point. Now the next thing is to impute my dart. This is the dart that forms the bustier. Now, so you need to get your bust pan, which is also called your nipple to nipple measurement. For this client, it is 8 inches. Okay, so I'll divide that by 2. That gives me 4. Then I'll add half inch seam allowance, so that's 4.5. So I'm marking 4.5 on the bust point, on the under bust, and on the half length. At the upper part, I'm going to add half inch to what I marked previously. So since I marked 4.5 on the bust point, under bust, and half length, at the upper part, I'll just mark 5 inches. So I'm going to connect these points into a straight line. I'm trying to turn my camera in a way that this would capture what I'm doing so that the beginners in our midst can follow up. Right, so I'll connect this point like so. Now the bust of the person I'm working with is bust 37. So for my dart intake, I'm going to take 1 inch on the 2 sides, on both sides of this my bust pan line, or this my nipple to nipple line. So on the half length, I'm going to take 1 inch on both sides of the dart line. Okay, on the under bust, I'll still take the same thing, 1 inch on the 2 sides. Her bust is 37, okay, and I do not want this cup to be so much. At the same time, I'm going to use a ready-made bra cup for this project, so I don't want to make so much bustier. So I'm taking 1 inch on both sides. Now I'll mark the same thing on the under bust. Okay, so 1 inch on the half length, 1 inch on the under bust. Right, now the next thing I'm going to do is to step down from my bust point, okay, by half inch. Now before I do that, I can also go ahead and connect from bust points from under bust to half length, like so, in a straight line. Now for me to now make the cup part, I need to step down from the bust point by half inch and also step upwards by half inch, okay, to reduce tightness and pointiness around the bust area. So I'm stepping up by half inch and stepping down by half inch as well. Then I'm taking a dart of 1 inch at the upper part as well, same as I did for the bottom area. Then I'll connect the points like so. So from that half inch upwards to the upper part, that's the off shoulder line. Then from the half inch downwards to my under bust, using the curvy part of my ruler just to give us that beautiful bust curve. Okay, so when you do that, you have your bustier ready. What you now need to do is to replace all the allowances that you have taken. Remember that we've taken allowances for the dart. So if you do not replace it, you're going to have a shortage at the end of the day. The dress or the blouse will not fit. So you need to replace all of these allowances that you have taken. Now at the lower part for me, I took 2 inches that, okay, 1 inch to the left, 1 inch to the right. So what I'll do is to take my tape and measure that, because one thing I have also realized in this tailoring is that your tape or your chalk adds measurement to add at least half inch to whatever you're making. So just make sure that you measure it and replace exactly or accordingly. So I've replaced my dart. At this upper part or the bust point, there is no dart there, but I need 1 inch as seam allowance to couple the darts together when I'm done. So what I'll do is just to take it upwards, okay, use the entire straight line along that part, okay. It wouldn't hurt to have an excess at that point. You would always have to trim it out at the end of the day or when you're taking your body measurements, okay. So I'll just go upwards. Now one thing I also like to do is that I do not like to cut out my armhole till I'm done joining the dress. That way, when I cut my armhole, I wouldn't be having an armhole that doesn't fit, okay? So when I'm done joining the darts and everything, I then cut out my armhole and neckline. That is the procedure I use, okay? But if it works for you to cut your armhole and neckline before joining, please feel free to go ahead and do as you normally do. Right, so I like to cut out the side front first before cutting out the center front. Then when I'm done, this is what we have. I'll cut out the starting point as well. So this is it. This is the center front and this is the side front. Now I'm going to place this on the upper part or the net part of the fabric, okay, for the upper part. Now for the back, I'll just start with marking out a starting point. The back is a lot easier. I'll just add my 1.5 inches or 2 inches zip allowance. Remember, it is minus 4.5. So I'm placing my tape at 4.5. Then I'm marking up to the half length, which is 18 inches. Okay. I also use the side front to compare to be sure that I have exactly what I have on the front. We don't want to have one part longer than the other. We want accuracy. So I've marked out my bust points and my chest line and my half length. Okay. So the chest line is 9 inches for this project. Now, what I'm going to do is to also impute my zip allowance. This is the back. So the back houses the zipper at the back. So whatever you like to use as a zipper allowance, just at this point, go ahead and impute it. So I like to use 1.5. So I'm going ahead to mark 1.5 for my zipper allowance. Like so. So I'll connect that into a straight line. So guys, if you're new to the channel, this is Nani Space, previously called Learn to Sew with Nani, and here on this channel I upload sewing tutorials every week. So if you like the sound of that, please consider subscribing. Now I'm done drafting the back. I just want to recap and tell you what I have done. Now on the chest line, this is minus 4.5 and my chest line is 9 inches, then my half length is 18. So on the chest line, I've divided the bust into 4, added 2 inches allowance. On the waistline, I divided by my waist into 4, added 2 inches allowance and 1 inch for that, connected that. Then at the shoulder line, I marked 6 inches for my neck width. Then I slanted it to the armhole. Okay, so like so. Now because this is the back, I need to come upward by 1 inch just so that I would reduce zipper bulge at the back. So I'll step up by 1 inch and slat it to the side seam, and that is all. So don't need to start going through rigorous processes for the back. I'll go ahead and cut it out like so. Now, like I was saying before, if you're new here, I say a very big welcome to you. If you like sewing tutorials, this channel is a final bus stop for you. Okay, you can as well check out other channels, but I hope you find what you're looking for on this channel. And while you subscribe, please turn on your post notifications so that each time I upload a video, you'll be notified. And if you like the video, you also try to watch it out. Okay, so I'm done cutting. Now what I will do next is to go ahead and notch out my zipper allowance. Okay, notch it out up and down, open up your zipper allowance. You're going to slice it open, because if you don't slice it, you will not input a zipper at the back. If you don't cut, you don't have a cloth. So I'm going to cut it open like so, and that is it. For the lower part, I've drafted a pencil skirt, a long pencil skirt. I also have a tutorial on this on the channel. So that we don't make this video so lengthy, I will drop the link to that tutorial in the description box. So this is my waist, my hip, my waist to knee, and the full length, okay? Now on the waistline, I have marked my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. On the hip line, I marked my hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. Now on the knee line, I took away 1 inch from whatever I have on the hip, okay? The whole entire measurement on the hip, I took away 1 inch. The same thing for the length, connected the points because my client does not want this to be so fitted along from the knee downwards. So I took out 1 inch. So you can as well do 1.5 to 2 inches depending on how fitted you want it to be. Now I'm done cutting the skirt. What I'll do for the back is just to place this on the fabric and add my 2 inches zipper allowance for the back, or 1.5 depending on the zipper allowance you like to use. So that is it for the skirt part. Now for us to transfer the pattern to the net part of the blouse, okay? So for Georges, there are so many designs, okay? The expensive Georges have so many beads, designs, embroidery, so you can just sew directly on your satin, then cut out the embroidery and use your uhu gum or your hand tack needle or your hand needle to tack it. Well, this does not have so much design, so I'm just going to look at the point that has a design, which is the lower part. So I'm just going to try to strategically place it on the front or the mid front, okay? Just strategically place it in a way that it's going to embody all the embroidery or the designs at the middle part of the dress, yes, of the upper part, okay? So fold, you just need to open it up and place it on it, and place the net on it like so, okay? Then move it up and down till you get your desired your desired shape, okay, where you want the shape to be. So this is what I'm doing. I'm pulling it all around just to be sure that this sits right in the middle, okay, so that when I'm done joining, I'm going to have the design at the middle of my fabric or the middle of my dress. It is further going to bring out the beauty of the dress. Now if there is any applique that you have cut out or any lace trimming that you have cut out, you can always patch it up at the end of the day, okay? If you think that this is scanty, you can still cut out trimmings from the net and use your hand needle to tack it, or your gums or your glue gun to tack it, okay? So I'm comfortable with what I have here. I have placed the embroidery design at the middle of the center front, okay? That way it is going to be really beautiful. Now there is no beads, there are no stones on this lace part, so I don't have to worry about my needle breaking. So I'm going to sew on it, okay? Now this is what it looks like. Now for the sides, I'm still going to fold into 2 and make sure that I still incorporate the fancy designs or the embroidery designs on it, okay? Because this is the front, so we need to bring out the beauty, okay? So you need to move it all around to be sure that you put in a lot of that embroidery, beautiful designs, okay? So that you can get it at the sides. So you can see I have about 2 of those designs there. So I'm going to place the side in such a way that it's going to take in all of that. Do you get? So I'm going to go ahead and cut by the time I'm comfortable. So I'll still pulling it around, because I want this to be very beautiful. Okay, I want to incorporate all of those beautiful designs. I don't want the front to be scanty. Now, even when I'm done and I feel like the front is scanty, like there are no more designs, I can use my soldering iron to cut up some of those patches left over and use it to attach to the front, right? So at this point, I think I'm comfortable. I'm going to go ahead and cut. So you cut through. Now what you're going to do next is to cut lining for this. You can still use the same satin as lining. Then also cut lining for the back, cut lining for the skirt. Already on the skirt, we already cut on the lining. So what you do for the skirt is to now place the lining on your George fabric and cut out. Okay, so that's just what we're going to do. So I'm done cutting. Now when I place the net on the satin, this is what it looks like. So you can see I have much of those beautiful embroidery designs on the side. The same thing for the other side. So by the time I join, this is going to come out really beautiful. Now for the center front, I'll get it as well so that we can see how it looks. So this is it. This is the satin and this is the lining, the net part. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So we're now going to start joining and turning the fabrics with our lining. So for the back, this is the back. I just folded the net. At this back part, there is not so much designs for this part, so I'll just go ahead and place it on any side of the net that I see, and cut it out. I'm still avoiding those beautiful embroidery designs, because after joining and I feel like I need more designs in front, I'm going to use my soldering iron to trace it out, then use my gun or my glue to first glue to the fabric, then hand tack it with an invisible thread. Okay, so I'm avoiding those embroidery designs for now. So for the back, I'm just placing it on a plain fabric. The back does not have so much problem. That's why I love back pieces. Okay, but if I still have if I still feel like the front is okay and I have leftover of those embroidery designs, I can hand tack it to the back, to spice it up more. Now this is where the bulk of work is. Okay, so I'm done turning. This is the back. I'm done turning the lace, the net, and the satin with lining. You can see I've also taken in my dart. Now this is what it looks like. So make sure you give it a very good press. I have done mine and it looks very neat. So these are the two back pieces for the upper bodice. Okay, so make sure you turn it so that you have a neat finishing at the all round the dress. Okay, now for the lower part, I've also gone ahead to turn the lining, okay, as well with the George fabric. Now, one thing about George is that it frills a lot, so you can see that I've overlocked the inside. After turning with my satin, I still went ahead to weave or overlock it, okay, because George is the bata of fraying. So this is what I've done, okay. I've used the satin to turn. This is my slit, and at this upper part, I have my opening for my zipper allowance, okay. So now what I'm just going to do next is to attach this to the front, okay, to the upper part. So this is the right side, you can see. So what I'll do is that after joining, I'll go and overlock the upper part, because like I said, it frills a lot. So this is how neat and beautiful your work should be. Now I'm going to open it up and place the upper bodice for the back on it, right side facing right side, and go and join using 1/2 inch seam allowance. And when I'm done joining, I make sure that I overlock, because like I said, George frills a lot. On the other side, I'll do the same thing, place it right side facing right side, then go ahead and join using 1/2 inch seam allowance. At the end of the day, I overlock. Now that is it for the back. Now for the front, which is where we have the FAUX wrapper, and this is the blouse area. This is the upper part, so you can see the inside is clean. I've turned with my lining, and I used ready-made bra cups. So you can see I attached my ready-made bra cups, so that is why it's looking like there is so much stitching at the back. Now this is what it looks like. Really, really beautiful. I've done my neckline and my armhole. Okay, so this is my lower part, the skirt part. I've also turned it, hemmed the satin, turned the sides, and I also made sure I overlocked it after turning, okay, before I flipped it to the right side and gave it a very good press. Now you can, at this point, you can join with 1/2 inch seam allowance, go and overlock, then we'll fix the FAUX wrapper. Or if you're like me that likes to attach the FAUX wrapper before fixing the upper bodice, you can do any of that, right? So now this is the wrapper I want to use. It is about 5 inches bigger than 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and measure it. Now this comes in tapered. Okay, when you buy this George, you can see that the upper part and the sides are tapered, or they are hemmed. Okay, so I don't need to hem it now because I've already hemmed it. So I want to measure the width of this my wrapper. Okay, so I have 1 yard, then I'm going to measure again. I have around 23 inches, so I have like 5 or 6 inches more than 1.5 yards. So you can use 1.5 yards, you can use 1 yard, you can use 2 yards, depending on how full you want it to be and how long you want it to drop. Okay, because it's going to drop by the side, and you see what I mean by dropping at the side by the time I'm done. Now from the lower part, you know that it's a 2-piece wrapper, and one wrapper is usually longer than the other. Okay, so the upper part is shorter, so the front part or the outer part is shorter than the lower part or the inner part. So, and the length is around 12 inches. So I'm marking 12 inches from the bottom of my skirt part. Okay, so that is where the second wrapper is going to be. If you know Igbo or traditional wrappers, okay, one is longer than the other, right? So that's why I have marked 12 inches. Now I'm not going to place this on it like so, okay, so that the end of the first wrapper is going to be on that 12-inch mark. And if you know that this, if you know wrappers, this is what it looks like. This is what wrappers look like now. So I'm going to have an excess. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to trim off that excess. What I'm going to do is that I am going to pleat it in. Okay, I'm going to either gather or pleat it in. I do not like to do gather so that it doesn't look tacky. I like to pleat it in. Okay, so whatever excess I have here, you can see the excess I have. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pleat till everything on this first wrapper comes to the length of 12 inches above the lower part. Okay, so at this point I have my pins. It's time to pin and pleat. So remember, I need half inch at the upper part of this skirt to attach to the upper body. So I'm not going to tamper with that half inch. Okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to make sure that I note that I have half inch at the upper part. Now I am pleating. Okay, so just pleat accordingly the way you like, but I want to encourage you to make sure that your pleats are facing one direction. Okay, you don't pleat to the left and pleat to the right. If you are pleating to the left, please pleat to the left. If you are pleating to the right, please do a continuous right pleating. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to keep pleating till I have it to the length that I want. All right, now I can also measure the length from the upper part to where I marked that 12 inches upwards. So whatever length I have, that is what I am going to pleat it to. Do you get? Another thing you can do is to place the first wrapper on half inch after the upper part of your skirt. Then keep on pleating till you are sure that the length of the first wrapper is on that 12-inch mark that we have made, okay, where the second wrapper would fall on. I hope you understand all these things I'm explaining. Our normal traditional Igbo wrapper, one is always longer than the other. And I have said like it is 12 inches. That's the average, okay, for the distance between the two wrappers. So I'm just going to pleat this first fabric, this first wrapper, okay, till it gets to that length. So you can see as I'm arranging it, also making sure that at the upper part, I have half inch that I use to attach to the upper bodice, okay. So I have pleated till I have gotten to that point. You can see, so this is just my pleating, and I don't want to pleat to where I have the embroidery design at the lower part. You don't want to cover that up with pleating. So once you get to that point, you want to stop your pleatings. Now this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it down to the right side, to that side. Now I'm done stitching, and this is what we have. So what I've just done is to stitch the wrapper to the side, like so. Okay, so this is the other side. You can see my pleatings. Okay, you can also go ahead and give it a good press at this point. Okay, so this other side, I'll still tack it down. I just want to show you that I have sewn down the pleating. So I'll just take it to my sewing machine later and tack this down. You can see. So you can as well pin it at that point. Now from here, I can now join the upper body. So I'll just place it right side, facing right side, join with half inch, and make sure that I overlock. And also at the end of the day, I like to use my bias tape to knitting the edges. Okay, so I can as well do that at the end of the day. Now for the back, I would go and, you know, I've joined it. I've also given it a very good press. I've joined the upper part and the lower part. I have also overlocked, gave it a very good and neat press. So what I'm going to do is to fix in my zip. I like to work with stone zip when I'm making this type of design. So I'll go ahead and fixing my zipper. Now I'm done fixing the zipper. Now the next thing is to take in my body measurement, and I have done that. So I've placed the right side facing right side. Then I took in my body measurements. Now I took away the first wrapper when I'm taking the body measurement, so it doesn't disturb my measurement and give me false readings or false measurements, okay? So I took away the wrapper. After joining one side, I'll take away the pins, put the wrapper inside. The wrapper is going to be sandwiched in between the front and the back, okay? I'll put it inside, then sew using my allocated seam allowance, okay? So I just took it out so that it doesn't affect my sewing, okay, or my measurement. Now I'm done joining. So I'm here to attach my sleeve and all of those things. So I want to focus on the wrapper so that you understand that is the main purpose of this tutorial. Now this is the wrapper now. Okay, it is joined to one side and it is joined to the right. Okay, because Igbo wrappers tilt towards the left. Okay, we tie our wrappers to the left hand side. So you want to make sure that you fix your first wrapper to the right so that you can tie it towards the left. Now you're going to use your hands, hold it and make drapes or pleatings using your hands. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Just follow the demonstration of my hands. Okay, now you can now style it anyhow you want. You can see. So this is going to give you that look that there is a wrapper tying around this thing. Okay, so you can just use your hands to, plait it like this. You can see. Now, when you get to the side, okay, I like to do this on my client, but I'm just showing you this. If your client is away or in diaspora, you can use a mannequin or a dress form to do it. But if your client is around and can come for fittings, please drape it on your client's body so that you can get the exact shape that she wants. So when you get the exact shape you want, you can go ahead and pin it down. You can see, so I'm trying to pin it to the dress, okay, because my mannequin is not a pinnable dress form, okay. So I'll pin it down. Now, once you have that desired consistency, like you want it to be that way, you're going to go ahead and use your hand needle to join or to tack that place that you have held. Okay, so I'm trying to explain this in a way that you'll understand, right? So after doing this, after holding the pleats to one side, I'm going to use hand needle to tack it. I'm not tacking it now because my client is yet to wear the dress. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and this is what I mean by having a drop by the side. You can see the drop it has by the side. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this process. Now by the time I'm done tacking, I'm going to get my velcro tape. There's something called velcro tape. It's also called husband and wife in the market. Now when I'm done fixing this, okay, I'll go ahead and stitch on it. After pleating it to the side, I'll stitch on it. Then I need to hook the first wrapper to the main dress itself. So you can use your skirt hook, okay? Fix one on the wrapper and the other one on the dress. You can also use Velcro tape. This is what Velcro tape is, okay? This thing that we call it husband and wife also in the market. So one laps on the other one. So you can just cut like 1 inch from it, then sew one on the wrapper and the other one on the dress side to just go and lap like that. Okay, so I'm going to repeat what I have done so that you can understand it better. Right, so I'll take out my pins. You can see how the sides are. So what you need to do is to lift this up so that it will cover the joining of your seam, okay, of the upper seam, so it will look like you're wearing what's it called, skirt, wrapper and blouse, okay, Igbo wrapper and blouse. So I've taken this off and I want to demonstrate or show you again. So you need to lift the wrapper up like this, okay, so that it covers the half length. Hold it to one end, okay, or to the end. Then you start using your hands to gather it like this. You can see, use your hands to gather it like this. Then when you have gotten to your desired consistency or the way you like it, okay, you hold it on one side. Okay, when you hold it on this side, you can now go ahead and tack it using needle and thread to hold it firm, or you can go and sew it on your sewing machine, okay, to hold your gathers or your pleating firm. Then you can now put in your Velcro tape on it so that your client can attach it to her body. Okay, put the Velcro tape on one side and the other one on the other side. So that's what it looks like. I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.